Hey y'all, welcome back to my live broadcast. I'm Shanta Prince, and I help women coaches to build their personal brands, create their high ticket offers, and get paying clients. So, first of all, let me fix this hair that's sticking out in the back because it is getting on my nerves. But y'all, it's so tangled up. So today I want to talk to you about three things, y'all. Y'all just gonna have to excuse me because this is annoying. So I want to talk about three things that you can do to shift your business to stay in tune with the time. So one of the things when I was in the Navy that we always talked about was operational readiness, right? Operational readiness was all about how ready the ship or the unit is or the equipment is when it's time for battle, all right? When it's time to go out into the heat of battle, how ready are you? How prepared are you? Is equipment up to date? Is everything fixed? Does anything need to be updated or changed? Are there any software issues that we need to fix before we go out to sea? So some of y'all already know that I spend a lot of time on board ships, and operational readiness is something that was always in the forefront of our work. And so when it comes to business, operational readiness is key because times change. And there are some things that, even though times change, there are some things that just don't change, right? And that's why I teach principle. I teach principle, and principles don't change, right? So anytime you're working your business and something happens, like we already know that COVID COVID has changed how we do business, and that's the whole reason why I want to talk about this today. COVID has changed how we do business. And for example, people don't want to. Well, some people don't want to work in the office anymore because COVID has shown people that, wait a minute, like, you mean I could have been working at home all this time? So now people don't want to go back and go into the office and work. So that's just one thing that has changed. And you probably have heard about the great resignation. I talk about this with my clients all the time, how people have left their jobs in record numbers. People have quit their jobs, and there's been a lot of, is also known as the great reshuffle, right? Because people have left their jobs, there's a lot of reshuffling going around in the workplace. And so a lot of things are different now. How people are seeing things are changing. People have lost loved ones. People have either lost their jobs or quit their jobs, and they're looking for the next thing that to get into, the next thing that's going to make them money, or the next thing that's going to make them happy. People are understanding that life is just too short to not be doing the things I love to do, which is why I'm in front of you right now. Some of you are ready to do the thing that you love to do. And the biggest thing right now is, okay, well, how do I pivot my business so that I can keep doing what I love? How do I make changes so that I can adapt to the times so that I can keep doing this thing that I enjoy doing? We understand that, businesses start, businesses close. But I believe that businesses that operate in certain principles are always going to stay alive. And the reason why I use the word alive is because let me silence my phone because it's telling me that I'm live, even though I've been live for 4 minutes already. I just got the notification that I'm live. So when it comes to staying alive, your brand should be a living thing. And what I mean by living is your brand is not something that you just do once. Branding is not something that you do one time and then you just go on. You set it and forget it. Branding is an ongoing process, meaning things have to change, things have to grow, like you have to grow. So as you grow, your brand is also going to grow. And so when I say that your brand is alive, that means you're shifting and moving with the times and with your audience. So, for example, if the times have caused your audience to have more time at home, then you can change some things around in your business so that you're adapting to your audience being at home more, right? So that may look like doing longer launches, or it could look like you putting out more content. It could look like you and spending more time engaging and getting to know your audience. However, when things shift and people start going back to work, people start wanting to get outdoors more, which is what's happening right now. People are looking to get outdoors more. People are looking for in-person events. And so then you can move and shift so that you can accommodate that. And you have to be able to have the type of wisdom to understand, okay, this is changing, so I need to switch up some things with my brand. I need to switch up some things with how I operate in business so that I can adapt to what's happening with my audience and what's happening in the world right now. And the thing is, people are always going to be buying. People are always going to be buying, and that's not going to change. But sometimes the only thing that changes is that people change how they buy, right? People can change how they're buying things and what's making them buy, what triggers them to want to buy. And so you have to understand how to be in tune with those things. Okay. So when I talk about adapting to the times, I just mean making a simple pivot. And a lot of times the pivot is simple. Sometimes they're not. So when I say an example of a simple pivot is, for example, in the summertime, most people want to go out. Like for me, I'm a beach bum. I love going to the beach. So in the summertime, I'm not sitting in my seat as much as I am when it's not summertime. I have little people, and I like to go to the beach. They like to go to the beach. So during the summertime, I may not be available for longer launches. Like now, those of you who already know me, you know I love, love, love to teach. So when I do my boot camps, I'm usually teaching anywhere between 5 and 9 days. And so, but sometimes that's great because people are ready, they're hungry for it. And then at other times, it may not work that well because it's like, okay, it's summertime. I'm trying to get out to this beach or get in these streets, however you see it. But things can change. But I will tell you that one of the biggest changes that has caused businesses to really have to take a look at things is the iOS update. Now, I know I've talked about this before, but if you don't know what the iOS update is, I will explain it in a nutshell. And I'll try to just keep it simple for those of you who are not as technical. So first of all, the iOS update is an update to Apple products. So those of you who are using iPhones, you have an iMac, you have your iPad, where consumers now have the option to opt out of certain advertisements, and also it's also impacting emails as well. Okay, so I can open an email, and let's say you're trying to sell me something, and you send me an email and you're like, okay, well, I don't even know if Shanta opened the email. Let me see if she opened it, because if she opened it, then that's going to determine my next step. So if she opened it, she saw my email, she clicked the link, that's going to be a different response than if she hasn't even seen the email. Well, with the iOS update, some people can open your email and you won't even know that they opened it. Okay. And so a lot of things have changed. Another thing that has happened as a result of the iOS updates is that advertising is more expensive now because consumers can say, I don't want to see any ads, or don't track my activity. Okay. So have you ever clicked on a link or something, and then you go onto Facebook and that ad for that thing that you just clicked on is right in your feed? That's done by what's called a pixel. And the pixel follows you everywhere you go, and it keeps track of the things that you're doing. And that way it can, run back and add to you just in case you forgot to buy something, or maybe you didn't want to buy it. But for me, I forget to buy things, right? I'm the person, like, I'll see your ad and I'll be like, oh, I want to get that. And then I'll get a phone call, or one of my kids will call me, or I get distracted. And so, believe it or not everybody who doesn't buy just didn't want to buy it. Maybe they got distracted like me. So so a friend of mine was asking me, she was like, are you going to opt out of the ads for with the new iOS update? This was when it first came out. And I said, girl, no, because I like getting those ads. If I click on something and I intend to buy it and I forget, I like to get those ads because they serve as little reminders for me. That's just my take. But some people don't like advertising, and that's okay. For me, I don't really have a lot of time to do a lot of shopping. So if I have ads that are coming the apps that I click on and the websites that I clicked on, these ads have learned what I like. If they're putting something in my face and I like it, then I just go buy it, because I'm like, I like that the I like that the ads come to me, the sales come to me instead of me having to go look for sales because I just really don't have a lot of time. Even when I do shop online, I'm like, oh, I gotta wrap this up because I got stuff that I need to do. So for me, it's a time saver. So, but you may have a different viewpoint. Now, as a consumer, the iOS update is a great thing, right? But for those of us who are marketers, we're on the other side of the table. So you're the consumer side of you, probably great. The marketer side of you, it causes things to be a little bit more difficult, but not impossible. So so over time, these trackers, they learn about your behaviors, they learn what you like, and it's easy to target you based on what you already like. Well, because of the iOS update, you can ask your app to not track what you're doing, and as a consumer, but as a marketer, it makes it difficult for us because now targeting has become difficult. So all that information that was learned is gone, right? The information is not as easily accessible for those of us who use Apple products, and so because of that, it takes a little time. So let's say, for example, you run an ad and sometimes it takes a little time and money to get that ad dialed in, meaning getting to the right people, getting in front of people who are actually going to click on your ad and take action. So that takes a little time and it also takes a little bit of money. And so now, because that information is not accessible anymore, it takes even more time to relearn those things. And so, because of that, advertising has gotten a little bit more pricey. So, lots of entrepreneurs are finding different ways to deal with how they're doing business and how they're getting around those ads. Hey, Aaron, is there a concern about privacy? What do you mean, Aaron? Privacy on whose part? So this iOS update is causing people to panic because now it's like, okay, how am I going to reach my people and without breaking the bank, right? And especially for those of you who are getting started, especially if you haven't hit six figures yet, it could be like huge if you run an ad and you spend $5,000 on an ad and you don't get any clients out of that. That could be a big hit for your business. Okay, so that's just one change that has happened in addition to what's going on in the world right now and in how COVID has impacted business. So think about that, the iOS update. So I'm gonna give you some strategies today to get around that because I'm talking about three things to change in your business to adapt to things like the iOS update, to adapt to people getting hit with COVID. And some people, they don't have the same mindset as they did before, right? So with the great resignation and with the great reshuffle, and with people wanting to work, a lot of people want to work home more, work from home more. So some people may not have the same kind of income that they had before COVID, right? And so because of that, they may have income, but it may not be as consistent, or it may not be as much. But on the flip side of things, if they're in a great reshuffle, and I was just speaking to a friend yesterday, and she talked about how I just started this new job, and they're already trying to promote me, and I've only been there for a couple of weeks. So that's an example of the great reshuffle. It's like, listen, we need people to like move in these spots that are open, so things are being shifted around. So some people don't have the consistent income that they're used to having. But this is why I always tell you that if you have any type of business or service that you're offering, and you teach people how to start their businesses, or you help people with relationships, or you help people with health and wellness, like, this is your time, it's your turn, because we need all of that more right now, right? People are trying to take care of their health because of what happened with COVID, and people are having stress in their relationships, everything is just difficult right now. So whatever you do, you find your space and you get in that space and you serve people, and people are willing to pay you, right? But sometimes, remember when I said sometimes it changes how people want to pay, and the when things change, it changes how people want to pay, and sometimes what their buying triggers change as well. So for example, 2 years ago, someone probably would have bought your program or joined your mentorship because they wanted to start a business or they want to start a side hustle to pay for their kids' private school, right? But today, that same person would join your program, and it could be for a totally different reason. It could be because I just lost my job and I need to make money, or my work hours were cut and I need to make enough money to pay for my bills. It could be a totally different reason. That's what I mean by how when things change, it can change people's buying triggers and change how they want to buy. For example, I had someone who was like, I cannot invest in your program right now because I don't have the consistent income to pay every month. But she ended up investing in one of my VIP days. So she was able to pay a one-time fee to spend an entire day with me to go over her business, fix her lead generation strategy, and come up with some money generating opportunities that she could create in her business so that she could make more money. So we spent the entire day mapping that out. And she was able to do that, but not necessarily to commit for an entire 12 months. So this is what I mean by being able to move with the changes, being able to shift so that your business and your brand can stay alive. So, one of the things that's going to help you to deal with the changes with the iOS update. The first thing I want to talk about when I'm talking about 3 changes to make in your business, let me just open up my notes. So, the first thing that I want to talk about is, and I've been talking about this for a very long time, is authentic connections with people. Okay. A lot of people don't, I don't know why this is, especially when in the coaching and consulting space, they don't want to talk to people. Not everybody, right? Not all people, but a lot of I meet a lot of coaches, mentors, consultants, service providers, and they don't want to talk to people. They just want to make a post and hope people sign up for their program from their posts. And it doesn't work like that, right? So I teach my clients how to actually engage with people, how to build authentic connections with people. And that right there is going to be the key. Let me read to you this post that I saw just this morning before I got on here with you guys. I came across this post and it really touched me because it makes sense right now. So I always talk about how during the times we are encouraged to isolate and separate, stay away from each other, gather in small groups and things like that. And so during this time as entrepreneurs, you really should lean into the fact that the ice the thoughts about being isolated, even though now it seems like people are ignoring that, but it's still like COVID is still very real. And so while people are being encouraged to stay 6 feet away or stay at home, don't go to large events, um, you can lean into that by actually focusing on connecting with people and building an authentic connection with people. I have people that I have built relationships with over social media that are never going to be able to buy my program or never be a client, and I still have connections with them. I still reach out to them. I still have conversations with them. And not only that, sometimes just because a person is not a client, that does not mean that they don't know people who are your clients. I had someone tell me, "Well, I can't join your program, but I know some people who can," right? And that's just as valuable. Having people who are referring people to you, having people who are connecting to you with others, that's going to be key. And connection will an authentic connection will outperform not connecting with people any day. And what I mean by not connecting with people is I'll give you an example of 2 different experience that I had with launching. And one time I did a launch and I found all of the people to sign up for my boot camp. I found them just by hand, organically. And that's what I mean by hand. I reached out to people, I found people, I connected with them, I had conversations with them. I found out what they were struggling with and what kind of information I needed to make sure I was talking about. And I built connections with these people. And I during that time, I ended up making $25,000, and I had a very small group of people who had signed up. And so that was a $25,000 launch. And so I did another launch that was quite different. So this launch I ran ads, right? And I did not because I wasn't really doing it organically by hand and connecting with people, the ads were just bringing them in. I was just allowing the ads to bring them in. And the biggest mistake that I made is not connecting with them when the ads brought them in, right? And so I missed that connection with them. And that launch was significantly smaller than the $25,000 launch because I did not have that authentic connection with people. Okay. And what I mean by authenticity is really just looking to connect with people with no strings attached, without you thinking about, okay, how can I close this person in the sale? Now I've learned that when I focus on how can I close this person in the sale, I miss out on building a real connection with them because I'm thinking about, well, how can I close them on a sale? But now when I talk to people, I'm like, well, let me see if let me get to know this person. How can I get to know this person? And so I moved from, okay, what do I say next, to just having an authentic conversation. And most of the time during that conversation, I will uncover things and I'm like, oh, they're struggling with this. Oh my goodness, I can help them with that so fast. I can help them with that in the snap of a finger, right? Because that's where my gifts are, right? And you're going to be able to do the same thing. When you connect with people and you realize, oh, that's your struggle. Oh, I can help you fix that in a matter of seconds. But that's the whole purpose of connecting with people, is to get to know them so that you can understand what their struggles are. And then if you can help them, then you make an offer. Then you invite them to go to the next step with you. Okay. So, and not the other way around, where you just send somebody a friend request and then you spam them with a sales message. That has happened to me so many times, and I'm sure it's happened to you if you've been on social media long enough. So building authentic connections with people is going to go a long way. For example, I think about the advantage that I have. I have another business. For those of you who don't know, I sell a barbecue rub that it started out as a recipe, and I turned it into a retail product. And so I sell this barbecue rub on my website, and I've also been featured on Food Network, where I actually used this barbecue rub to win a cooking competition on Food Network. So the difference between my rub, and it's a business that my husband and I are doing together. The difference between us and another brand is that, like, we're people that you can actually talk to, right? We're not faces behind a brand, right? We are the brand. And so that makes a huge difference when you can actually send me a message. You can actually talk to me and communicate with me about a product that I sell. A lot of the larger brands, you're not going to talk to the owner or the CEO. You're going to talk to someone who they hired. And so because of that, it's that connection that I have with people, that my husband has with people. It makes a difference in how we sell, and in the how people buy from us. And it's really amazing when, like, orders are coming in, and I'm telling my husband, I'm like, we're not even really marketing that hard, and like orders are still coming in. We have new orders coming in because people are telling people about the rub, and then we have repeat orders coming in, and it is amazing. And the biggest factor in that is having the connection with our audience and with our customers. Most of our customers know us, or they have had some type of conversation with us in some way, shape, or form. And I think that's amazing for a brand, is having that authentic connection with people. So if you are connecting with people on a regular basis and having conversations with people, it's going to make a difference, right? Because selling is really, it starts with a conversation, right? Phyllis says, I like helping others, but I have fear of going live or talking in front of people. It's also that way of me being a hairstylist. Phyllis, what you can do is, because you do hair, you can, if you have clients who don't mind getting on camera, you can leverage that to go live. You can showcase your clients, and you can give them like some type of special. And you say, hey, I'm running this kind of special. I'll give you a whatever discount if you're willing to let me show you off in a live video. Or you can say something like, I love showing off my clients. If you allow me to feature you in my live video, I'll give you a whatever discount, or a free this or a free that. It doesn't necessarily have to be a discount. It could be a free gift, something that you could buy wholesale and give away to them. But yeah, if you don't like going live and you're a hairstylist, then leverage your clientele for that. I'm sure you have some people who wouldn't mind you showing their hair. Another thing, Phyllis, is that if you're really passionate about what you do, sometimes when you go live and you talk about something that you're passionate about talking about, you kind of forget that you're live. So let's say, for example, you got some tips for people who are suffering with hair loss. You when you hit that live button, you'll get so passionate about like giving people tips for hair loss that you'll just forget that you're live because you're like, I'm helping people. I'm helping people with their hair struggles, right? So you could also try it that way as well. Think of something that you can talk about that makes people feel comfortable coming into your shop to get their hair done. I know, for example, people. I don't like doing business with people who are insulting to the very people that they're supposed to help. Like one of the things for that I've always struggled with is acne, and I saw a post from someone who's an esthetician, and she was like, if your face looked like this, and she had like this bumpy ice cream bar. And I'm like, how rude is that? Like if you're supposed to help people with acne, you're shaming them and you're trying to get them to do business with you, and it just doesn't work like that. But on the flip side of things, if you're making people comfortable, then it makes them say, okay, I need to go in and see Phyllis. Like if you're saying, okay, listen, guys, hair loss is something that a lot of people deal with, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. I'm gonna give you a few quick tips on how to deal with hair loss. I'm gonna give you a couple of shampoos that you can buy, blah 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 blah. And if you just like, okay, Phyllis, I got all this information, but I still need help, then I want to invite you to come on into the shop and schedule an appointment. That's how you can do that. So think about helping people, leverage your clients for that, and you'll be amazed at like what can happen by you just putting some information out there, putting those videos out there. And you can do all kinds of little like short videos are in right now, all kinds of short videos. You giving quick tips and you leveraging your clients. So building authentic connection is going to go a long way because you people are willing to more likely to buy from people who they trust, people who they feel like they know, people who they like. And if you have a real connection with people, then they get to know you, like you, and trust you. No one is about to listen. I'm still suspicious of like certain businesses. Like if I see an ad for a store, I'm like, okay, now I just told y'all that I like to shop from ads, right? So I'm like, okay, let me check this store out first because I want to make sure this is legit and somebody's not trying to scam me, right? Sometimes your customers are like that. They're suspicious because they're like, okay, who is this? Let me get to know this Shanta because I don't really know um who she is or if she's going to take my money and run off, right? So people feeling connected to you and getting to know you, like you, and trust you, they're more likely to buy from people like that. So for example, we know that lots of celebrities have different brands, and some people buy from celebrities that they like, and you don't buy from from the celebrities that you don't like. So you get what I'm saying by people. When you build those authentic connections, people get the opportunity to get to know you, and they like you, and then they trust you as well. And we have to have trust before people spend money with us, right? Especially these days, people are not trying to throw away their hard earned money, and they want to make sure that they can trust you before they spend with you. Okay. So the other thing is, I want to talk about another thing that's going to help you during this time where things have changed. COVID has changed the world. The iOS update has changed the world. There's a lot of other things too that have caused things to change. But I want you to think about the principle behind this. Like what I'm giving you, these are examples, but there are principles rooted in these examples, right? So if I'm telling you, okay, think about how you can serve your clients or your audience in different ways according to the times. For example, I asked my audience a couple of weeks ago, hey, you guys, if you were to get on an affordable workshop with me, what would you want me to teach? And they said, well, we would want you to teach on how to start a coaching business. And so I put together a workshop and I taught on how to start a coaching business. That was an example of me serving my audience because people kept asking me, well, do you have anything outside of your program do you have anything else outside of your program that you offer? And so I leaned into that, right? And I listened to what they wanted and I provided that for them because it wasn't something that was hard for me to provide. That was something that was easy for me to provide, right? And so if you can serve your clients in ways that is going to help them during this time, then by all means, it's something to consider. It's something to think about. Okay. So we talked about authentic connections. The other thing I want to talk to you about, to the other change to making your business right now, during this time when things are shifting, is you got to have your messaging dialed in like never before. And what I mean by messaging is the language that you're using. The language that you're using, your marketing language. I'm talking about from your emails to the language that you're using your offers, from the language that you're using your social media posts. Your marketing language, your copy has got to be dialed in. And what I mean by that is you need to make sure you're using the language that's attracting your people. For example, it's very easy because you are an expert to speak over their heads, right? Like Aaron asked, is there a concern about privacy? And I'm like, okay, we can talk about this because Aaron, I met Aaron when I was in the Navy, and we are both IT, so we both understand the technical aspect of things. However, if we're speaking that language to someone that we want to sell to, they would be like, I have no idea what that means. I don't understand what they're talking about, right? If Phyllis is talking to her clients and she's telling them about ingredients that's in this specific shampoo that's going to help with hair loss, they may be like, I have no idea what that means, right? It's very easy to speak your lingo and speak over their heads. And when that happens, no one wants to buy from you because they don't even understand what you're talking about. They don't even understand your words. And so I work with my clients on this, with helping them to make sure they're using the language that their ideal clients understand. If a person is confused, they're not going to buy. They won't buy anything from you if they have no idea what you're talking about. And I know how easy it is. But when I was getting my Master of Divinity, the first thing that they told us is like, hey, you guys, this is not something that you're gonna go out and start teaching tomorrow. And at first I was like, okay, and like I'm a teacher, so I was like, okay, well, then what? Why are we here? But then I started to understand. I'm like, oh, I get it, right? This stuff is the deep, this deep behind the scenes stuff that we're learning here, and that's not going to help my message to get across to anyone if I'm using words and language that they don't even understand. So I always like to use the example of how when I went to see my doctor a couple of years ago for my back, because I thought something was wrong with my back. I was working out 6 days a week, and I was also sitting for long periods of time. So hey, Deshante. So I was also sitting for long periods of time. So I went to go see my doctor because I'm like, listen, something is going on with my back, and I don't know what's happening. And so she ended up giving me these exams. I mean, she did everything. She did X-rays. I mean, she did the whole nine, right? And so she told me, she said, I don't think, she said, usually when people come here with back problems, it's not what you're experiencing. She was like, if you can do all the stuff, like she had me in there, like bending over, stretching, doing all kinds of stuff. And then she sent me to get x-rays and things like that. And so anyway, so I got the results at the same time she got the results. So the x-ray tech sent me the results, and I was trying to figure out like what she was talking about. Like, y'all, like if you're in the medical if you're in the medical field, you may understand these terms, but I was looking at the terms like, what does that mean? Something about like lumbar and like, and I was talking about it on a live one time, and a person was able to say, oh, I know what that, because she was in the medical field. But for me, not being in a medical field, I have no idea what she was talking about. So I'm trying to Google everything, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like I'm gonna have to get back surgery. Like I'm thinking of like all these things, right? And so my doctor emailed me after the X-ray text. Like it was like maybe like an hour after. And my doctor emails me and she says, I got your X-ray back. She was like, there's nothing wrong with your back. And it most likely was some tight muscles or something along those lines. But I'm based on the language, I'm starting to think, oh my gosh, like something is like, I'm gonna have to get back surgery. Like what's going on with my back? But I just didn't understand the language. And she summed it up for me very simply. There's nothing wrong with your back. You as a marketer, you have to be like what the doctor was for me. You have to summarize things in a way that is simple so that your ideal clients understand. Because if you're speaking in the terms of like the X-ray tech, then your people are going to be so confused. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to skip over you and go to somebody else who's articulating things in a way that they understand, right? So that's what I mean by like having your messaging dialed in. When you're building these authentic connections, right, that we talked about in the first point. If you're building authentic connections, you're going to start to get a feel for how your ideal clients explain things, right? Sometimes they don't explain things the way that you explain things. Okay. So one time when I was at my dentist office, and she asked me, "Are you feeling any pain?" And she was like spraying cold water in my mouth. And I said, "No." I said, "It's just really cold. The water's just really cold." And she was like, that's pain. That is pain." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't see it like that," right? So that's an example of, she asked me, "Was I in pain?" And I told her, "No, I'm not in pain, but it's cold," right? She understood my language to mean, "Oh, yeah, if you're feeling cold, then that's pain." But that's how I describe it, right? As her patient, I describe it as cold, not as pain. And so that's why sometimes when you deal with people in the medical field, they'll say, "Well, are you feeling any tingling, or are you feeling this or feeling that?" Because they're trying to explain it in a way that you get it. Okay. But if you're building those authentic connections, you'll get a feel for how people explain things. Like how I just told you how I told my doctor I wasn't feeling pain, but I was feeling it was cold, right? So you start to get an understanding of how your ideal clients are explaining things, and then you'll be able to speak their language even better. Because if you're saying increase your revenue, and they're seeing it as increase your profits because that's just how they understand it, then there could be like you could miss out on some ideal clients like that. So that's what I mean. Like you got to have your message dialed in, especially right now in a time where people are so distracted. I'm one of them. I'm super distracted. I'm all over the place. I was just I was just telling my mentor that I'm like a squirrel. Like I'm just like sometimes I'm all over the place because there's so many things that I want to do. And I tend to get like distracted because I'm like, "Oh, this is great. Let me do this." And then I'm like, "Oh, let me do this thing over here." Or I'll find a book and I'm like, "This is such a good book." And then I'll see another book while I'm reading that book. And the next thing I know, I'm reading two books, right? So I'm saying all that to say that your ideal clients, your customers, they're distracted. And in order to grab their attention, you got to be quick. I'm going to teach on this in the Brand and Demand Bootcamp. Okay. So if you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the link for the Brand and Demand Bootcamp. I'm teaching on how to dial in your messaging starting next week on, so you can go to brandanddemandbootcamp.com, and I'm going to teach you how to get your messaging dialed in so that you can make sure you're attracting the right people. And not only do I teach on it, I actually help people during that time. I actually get into the messaging into the chat or to the messages and help you to get your brand messaging on point. That is one of the perks of signing up for the Brand and Demand Bootcamp. So I help people to create their marketing language so that they can share it on their social media pages, on their website, so they can show up with clarity and they can articulate what they do and who they help. And that is attractive. Okay. So far we've talked about authentic connections. We've also talked about having your messaging dialed in. And then the third change that you can make in your business right now to adapt to the times is to systematize. Systematize everything that you can. I'm even in my business, it takes time to systematize everything. So you start with one area, right? So you can systematize your social media. Here's what I mean by that is taking out the time to plan your content in advance, to schedule your content in advance. So when life gets hard during the week, then you've already got your content done and ready to go out. So what happens is when you don't schedule your content to go out, then you're trying to do it on the fly, and it's very difficult because you've got life going on. But if you take the time out to block out some time, I talk to my clients about batching their things that they want to create, and batching and time blocking, right? So you can set a time, create a time block to batch all of your content for the month or for the week during that time block. That way, you've got content coming out on a consistent basis, and you're not stressed out about it during the week. Okay, so that's an example of systematizing, getting your content system down so that your content flows easier. Another thing you need to systematize is your sales. You need a system, you need a process for sales, and I teach that as well. How you need your process down for how you take someone from interested in your program to enrolled in your program. Okay, so you need a system. You need a system for your content. You need a system for your sales. You need a system for how you're interacting, building those authentic connections, right? There's a system that you can put in place for yourself to where you're intentional about building authentic connections. So, whatever you can systematize in your business, it makes a difference when things start to shift because now you can focus on how to transition or how to adapt in that shift instead of worried about, okay, how am I going to get, I got to get this content out, I got to get this blog post out, I got to get this video out. But all of that stuff is already done, right? Or if you're looking for how you're going to close these 3 clients that you've been talking to, as long as you have your system in place, then those things are going to flow, right? And then you can focus on different things. One of the biggest struggles that I see entrepreneurs dealing with right now is they don't have any systems, and because of that, they're kind of all over the place, right? So systematize. You need a system for how you generate leads. You need a system for how you're closing sales. You need a system for how you're putting out content and a whole bunch of other things. So we talk about those things. I work with my clients on how to define what their sales process is because all of my clients are different. I have some clients, who love going live, and I have, I've had some that don't like to go live, and so because of that, there are ways to adapt their sales system to fit their personality. And so you got to think about what your systems are going to be. What systems do you need to put in place? And it's not that you have to do it all of them right now, but you need to start. If you don't have any systems in your business, you need to start looking at how you can plan better, right? And I will tell you that the root of everything is in your schedule, how you're scheduling time for yourself to get those things done. If you're not even scheduling time to knock out things in your business, then that's the sign right now that you need to systematize. Those things are going to help you when any change comes. You're going to be ready. Like when I talked about earlier about operational readiness, how when I was in the Navy, operational readiness was the center of everything that we did. And so your business you have to be ready. Your readiness has got to be on point, right? Because when something hits, when things change, when the economy is changing, like right now we're dealing with inflation, right? If you have things going on in your business that are working for you and not against you, then you won't be impacted and you can continue you will be impacted, but you won't be impacted as severely as some others, and you will be able to continue to serve people because you're not stressed out or you're not spazzing out about a system. Now, when Facebook and Instagram went down several months ago, it was sheer panic for a lot of people because some people only do business on social media. Okay. And if social media shuts down, then your business goes with it if you're only building on social media. And that's a problem because you can't close any sales if all of your clients are just on social media. So that's why I teach on how to start your email list so that you can still stay in contact, or you can start a phone list, a list of phone numbers, so that you can always stay in contact with your clients, your audience, regardless of what social media systems are up or down. You can always stay in contact with your audience. That is another system, right? It is a system that you use to stay connected with your audience, and it's very important to have if you want to be in business for the long run, right? So think about what systems you can start with. What area of your business right now can you start focusing on bringing some order to those areas? And you can map out what you're going to do. So you can say, okay, first I need to come up with my content plan. Okay, once I get my content plan down, then I'm going to work on my sales process. However you see fit to do it, that's going to be something that you have to consider during this time. Is what systems can you implement to save you time, right? There's plenty of things out there. There's all kinds of apps and websites and things like that to help you to systematize in your business, right? As a matter of fact, there's so many different things that you can choose from. All you have to do is go to Google and type in what you want to do, and I'm sure you'll come up with a whole bunch of resources that you can use to systematize, right? There's resources for systematizing your content, resources for systematizing your sales, resources for lead generation, all kinds of things that you can use to put some systems in place for your business, right? So systems, and I mean, when I say systems, I mean different softwares and tools that you can use, but I also mean processes. What is your sales process going to be? And then what tools are you using to help facilitate your sales process? Okay. What is your lead process going to be? And what tools are you using to facilitate your lead generation process? Okay. So that's what I mean by systematizing. So before we close, I want to invite you to join me in my last Brand in Demand Bootcamp. That is my free 5-day workshop where I'm teaching on how to dial in your brand messaging, like we talked about earlier. We're going to talk about how to build authority, even if you're brand new to consulting or coaching. We're going to talk about how to create content that captivates. And we're also going to talk about how to create offers that sell. That's one of the biggest struggles that I see people dealing with right now is trying to put together an offer. So they're trying to take their amazingness and put it into a package that's going to sell. I'm going to teach on that. And then I'm going to teach on how to get your sales game on point. So we're going to talk about how to put your branding, marketing, and sales plan together so that when you walk away from this boot camp, you actually have something that you can go and implement. So go to brandindemandbootcamp.com to grab your spot. And also, for those of you who are inside of the group, I have a promotion going on right now. If you invite someone to the group, then I'm giving you a free guide on how to create your lead magnet, right? So remember earlier when I talked about systematizing and I talked about having an email list, creating a lead magnet is a great way to get people to sign up for your email list so that you can have a group or however small or however large you want it to be of people who are interested in what you offer, so that when you're selling, you're not selling to no one, or you're not selling to crickets, as some people say. So so when you invite someone to the group, I'm giving away that free guide on how to create your lead magnet. Now, if you're watching me on Facebook, on Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, feel free to message me. You can message me on any platform where there's a messaging capability. If you're watching me on YouTube, you can come on over to Facebook and send me a message, or you can email me at info@shantaprince.com. I enjoy talking to people because I talked about building authentic connections, right? I've met some of the most awesome people just by connecting and not having any strings attached. So if you're interested in talking more about anything that I talked about today, or if you want to start your coaching business or your mentorship business or your consulting business, I want you to send me a message and say, hey, I want to start my business. What do I need to do to get started? I've got plenty of resources, some paid and some free resources. So don't be afraid to reach out and use me because I'm here to serve you. So don't be afraid to reach out and say, okay, well, I'm going to take Shanta up on her offer and reach out. So send me a message if you want to chat about your business, and I will see y'all here. So if you sign up for the Brand in Demand Bootcamp, I'm going to see you on Monday. But if you didn't sign up for the Brand in Demand Bootcamp, then I will see you on Thursday. Okay. So I go live every Thursday at the same time. So come and hang out with me. And I would love to see you inside of that Brand in Demand Bootcamp. Okay. So go to brandindemandbootcamp.com and I'll see you there. Y'all have a wonderful week, and I'll be seeing you again soon.